only one who feels like Netflix went to a casting agent and said, can you get us a couple of people? We have a new show coming and we'll use those people. Because at the end of the day, I feel like Netflix should have actually gone for people that have never been on a dating show, or people that are not wanting to be the next breakout star or actor, because this is the problem. All these people seem to have rehearsed lines. All these people seem to be doing or saying things that will get them the attention. People like Hamish, he kept going up the line, and it's like, so are you there for every girl, or are you just there to get as much publicity or as much attention as you can get? I didn't understand him. I really didn't. And I don't know why he kept going up. But at least this time they got 2 more couples, which I'm happy for. So I can't wait. I think Yvonne is doing an amazing job as presenter. I wish they would bring more people that are more likable and that are more natural and don't come up with silly excuses. But anyway, hey there. Thanks for stopping by. It's Valerie. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. Click the like button. Turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos. And definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Pop the Balloon Season 1, Episode 4. I'm so sorry about my late review, but life has been lifing. Anyway, here we go. So this week we have 8 guys, and it's a girl's turn out. So the girl's name is Laney. She is 29. She's a head of clinical partnership. I don't know what that means. Anyway, she says she's originally from Chicago, but she now lives in LA. She's been single for a year. She's career driven, and so she's looking for someone who is career driven, who is fit and confident, but definitely not cocky. What does she want in a partner? She says, well, she likes someone who's goofy and someone who's able to laugh through life with her. So it seems like she wants someone easygoing. I guess because of her job, it sounds like it's demanding. So you don't want your home life to be demanding and your work life to be demanding. You need a balance. You need something to sort of even out the other. So it makes sense. She says her deal breakers are someone who doesn't want kids. And as soon as she says that, you have Griffin pop his balloon, and it's like, why? Why Griffin? Griffin is 36. He popped his balloon because he said Laney looks like his sister. And she's like, that's good. That's fine. Yvonne asks her, okay, so what do you think about him? She said, well, the shirt alone made me want to pop his balloon. And it's like, oh, she's coming with the smoke. She's coming with the heat. I love that. So her first question is, I love someone who is proud of of where they come from, or what makes them, uniquely them. So my question to you is, what are you proud of that others may see as a red flag? It's like, oh, that's going to be interesting to hear people's answers. So the first person, obviously, because Griffin is out, the next person is Drew. Drew says he's a CPA, content creator, strategist, and he says, I'm super extra in whatever I do. So he's really into Civil War reenactments because he loves history. And as soon as he said that, you had Laney go across and pop his balloon. While she's popping his balloon, Yvonne is busy asking, so which side of the Civil War are you? And he said both sides. I think he didn't want to speak out and say exactly what he meant. And when asked, Laney said she popped his balloon because he lost her at extra. So everything else, Civil War and everything else, was just the final bit, but he lost her at extra. So she's moving on. And it's like, oh, let's see what's happened then. So now we have 2 guys out. That only leaves 6. So let's see if she has a match with somebody else. Just going to say it. I think I like Laney. I really do. I think because she's managing to weed these out, the guys, and sort of take out the crap if she thinks, no, this ain't it. Because they're all having to answer her question, and depending on their answers, if they don't pop, she's ready to pop it. Okay. So the next guy is Devin. He's 35. He's from Florida. He's head of sales in a US-based brokerage company, and he says, he's into self-care, and he takes it to the next level to an extent that he has a pedicure and a facial every day. You have Laney say she really liked that, he takes care of his skin and is into self-care. That's important. And it is important for someone to balance their life out with things like self-care. So that makes sense. You have Dominic, who's 30. He's a Cali-based health coach. He says, his confidence can at times be seen as arrogance, although he says he's done some work. When he's asked, are you on the border? He says, no, I feel like I've done the work and I'm a better man now. So we'll wait and see what happens there. We have Hashim. He's 30 years old. He had to drop in that he's a Princeton graduate, and he's a tech founder. Apparently, he's a bit flirty, and so he was asked, "Are you flirty?" Because if someone says that, then you want to know what do they mean by I'm flirty? Are you flirty inappropriate, or are you flirty because that's just the way you talk to people? Anyway, he says that helps with his company. Because he's a company owner, he's a tech founder. So hey, it is what it is. Next is Elliot. He's 31. He's an immigration attorney. He says he's not a huge, texter, and it seems he's also not a huge, he's not into telephone conversations. It seems he's more into face-to-face conversations, and I think being an attorney, it makes sense. He wants to see you so that he knows whether you're lying to him or not. So I get it. I really do. I'm not surprised. Next up is Dylan. He's 31. He's a model. He's a masseuse and a personal trainer. He says he likes, he has a lot of girls who are his friends, a lot of home girls. And so it was a question of, what do you mean you have a lot of friends? Is it friends with benefits situation, or is it just friends? And he says, they're very cute, but they're just friends. And so Laney was on board with it because he said, that shows that he has some sort of emotional intelligence, because he can't be around girls and them not correct him unless they're leaving him to be terrible to everybody else, and then they can swoop in and be the savior. Anyway, he popped his balloon because he decided to friend zone poor Laney. He said, she's more a friend than anything else. It's like, wow. Next up is Lorenzo. He's 29. He was born and raised in Italy. He's been in the US for 8 years. And he says this is a drummer. And as soon as he said that, Laney ran and popped his balloon because she said she can't be dealing with the drums. And it's like, oh my God. Maybe he's, as Yvonne said, maybe he's got his own studio. Turns out he's got his own studio. So she didn't need to worry about him making noise in the apartment. So that only left Dominic and Devon. So Dominic and Devon had to step up, and their next question that they were asked was, what is something you like to do but don't have a lot of time to do it? Devon said he likes to explore nature, plus he wants to be out doing a lot more than just his job, because his job at times can keep him sort of constrained. So he likes to explore and do things that sort of just give him a break from that. That makes sense. He says he also wants to this year to take care of his parents, which really touched Laney's heart. And then he was asked, do you hike? And he said he's afraid of snakes, so he doesn't hike, but he's okay in going to a little cabin somewhere in the wood. And it's like, well, what if the snake is already in the cabin? Anyway, I digress. Next up is Dominic. Dominic says, seeing his whole family, because his parents live in different states. So seeing his family is something that he wishes he could do a lot more. It seems his sibling has moved closer to him, so he's having to spend time with them. But then you had Laney be asked to pop a balloon, and she popped Dominic. I would have popped Dominic as well. I really would have popped Dominic, because his response right from the start when he spoke about, on the border of arrogance and cocky, for me, I think was a red flag. So I think this is why she was just waiting to see what happened at the end. And when she was asked why she popped, she said, well, because she's getting a better vibe, or she seems to have a connection with Devon. So that's why she's decided to stick with Devon. And then, with Dominic, he was asked, would you still have been open to continue this with her? And he said yes, because it seemed every time he spoke to her, they were peeling back another layer. So he was open to sort of continuing to peel back the layers. And for me, he lost her at arrogance. And then he lost her when he started talking about the bedroom. That's when he completely lost her. Because you can't be talking about your parents and then be on international TV asking me, how do I feel about knocking butts? Anyway, so which left her with Devon. Devon was asked, and he said it's a lock. Laney was a lock. They make a cute couple. I think Devon was a better option for her. I think Devon was definitely, of the two guys that were left standing, I think he made a better choice. So we get to meet our next single. I think she's stunning. I think both girls have been beautiful that we've seen thus far. So she's a stunning girl. Her name is April. She's 35. She's from Detroit, but she is living in LA. She's a corporate. She's in corporate communications, and she says she's been single for 2 years. She likes someone who's a strong and sort of dominant, and she wants someone who's ready for a serious relationship and ready to be a leader. It's like, okay, do you? As soon as she says she's 35, you have three people pop their balloons. You have Dominic, you have Elliot, and you have Dylan. And common consensus is that she's too old because they're in their early 30s and she's saying she's 35. So immediately they popped their balloons. And it's like, oh, okay, it is what it is. She then says, I'm picky and I can be sensitive. I'm sensitive to noise, especially when you're chewing with your mouth open or you're making mouth noises. So she asks the guys, what are your biggest icks? You have Griffin. He's 36, so he says he doesn't mind the age because she's a year younger than him. He's also from Detroit, and so she's not too old for him. He says he doesn't like entitled people, he doesn't like messy people, and he also doesn't want someone who's very shy because he feels he's at a stage in life where he doesn't need to be holding somebody's hand. They should be able to sort of stand on their own 2 feet. Next up is Drew. He says his ick is body hair, and immediately you have he popped his balloon. And then you have Chris. Chris is 35. He's from Indiana. He now lives in LA. He's a personal trainer, DJ, music producer. Well, Chris said he doesn't like someone who talks about other people and not the things that they enjoy. And immediately you have, her come and pop his balloon. And it's like, April, what's wrong with that? Well, she popped his balloon because she said he didn't have an immediate ick. It seems like he was going around the houses and he didn't quite know what he wanted to say. So she popped his balloon. Hazem said he didn't mind her age and he thought she was stunning. And he did. And he also, when Chris was asked, he said, he didn't like her hairstyle. And I don't know why people try to make a thing of it when it was not. Because remember, there are other races that date people because of the color of their hair. So for him to say that, he didn't like the hairstyle, that's not it. He said she's stunning, so it is what it is. Asim said, I don't mind your hair. I think he was just trying to be sweet because he was the only black guy on the team, on the panel. But he said he doesn't like rude girls. But although he was 31, he was open to her because he thought she was stunning. Lorenzo said he doesn't like someone with a bush, and immediately you had April pop his balloon. I don't think she quite understood what he meant, and I think this is why she popped, and I think maybe he just wasn't her type, or she just wasn't feeling him. It is possible. The next question was, what does consistency look like in your life and how would you incorporate a partner? Griffin says he's not consistent. He goes to the gym 3 times a week, but he is dedicated. So whatever he dedicates himself to, he's going to ride it till the very end. And his question was, do you have long-term relationships? And what's your family structure like? And you have, April says she's very close to her family. She's with her friends. She's got friendships from high school. So the shortest time frame she's been friends with someone is 5 years, it is okay, I think. Hassim, well, she then popped his balloon because she said, she felt a stronger attraction to Hassim because he was more her type. And it's like, I don't think so. I think she should have given him a shot. Hassim says, I can be slacking because of my business. I'm starting a new business, so I can be slacking because I don't have enough time to sort of commit to other people. But, he is consistent and he likes to help others and hopes they are able to help him. It seems like Hassim is there to promote his business because he says he travels a lot. And so his question was, how are you going to communicate with me and strengthen our bond? And you have April sort of say communication is the most important thing. I didn't quite hear the answer. I didn't quite get where she was coming from. So eventually you had April say, because she popped Griffin's balloon, she was open to things with Hassim. But Hassim popped his balloon because he said, it seems like she's ready for a long-term relationship and I'm not ready for one. And it's like, you knew that from the moment she walked up. Why didn't you allow her to sort of choose somebody else? Why didn't you pop your balloon? That way she could have left with Griffin if that was what she wanted. So next up we have Amira. On her intro, Yvonne said she's from Big Brother, but her tag said she's from the challenge, and I'm wondering, does Netflix have a link to the challenge? Are they going to start screening challenge episodes? Make it make sense. Anyway, Amira's 34. She is from Maryland. She now lives in LA and she works in tech. Immediately, you have Elliot pop his balloon when he finds out that she's 34 because he said he prefers them younger than him. Yvonne teased him about it, but hey, it is what it is. And then she said, I like to keep busy. What are your hobbies? Was her first question to the guys. You had Griffin say, my career is my hobby. I'm a filmmaker, and so as long as I get to do that, then I'm a happy bunny. His balloon was popped because she said that, she wants someone to have fun with. And it doesn't seem like Griffin has got a hobby for her because he couldn't name one. She didn't think filmmaking was a hobby because that's already his job, but he was adamant that that's his hobby. Next up was Drew. Drew says he likes playing games. Any game will do. Any game at all. He's open to playing it because that's how he sort of entertains him, and that's what he sees as a hobby. His balloon was popped because you had Amira say there was no initial attraction, so she popped his balloon. Dominic, he said he loves anything into health and fitness, things like hiking and surfing. He's open to that. But then she popped his balloon because she was going to pop Lorenzo's balloon, but then Lorenzo talked her into not popping his balloon, so she ran and popped Dominic's balloon, but we never got to find out why. I think she had heard what he had said in his previous conversations, and sadly, when you have sort of opened your mouth and somebody comes later on, they already might have got a clip. I don't think they sort of keep them away from what the guys are saying. I would want to believe that they have sort of an idea of what the guys have answered in their previous sort of connections. Next up is Chris. Chris says, my career, she popped it because she said she didn't think he had time for hobbies because he had too many things going on. He's a personal trainer, he's a musician, and he's a producer or something like that. So that's way too many things for him to find time for a hobby, according to Amira. Hashim said he's spontaneous, he likes to go out, he likes to have fun. And I think Hashim is just saying whatever it takes just for him to be picked. I think at the end of the day, he was trying to get to the front of the line so that he can get as much exposure as possible, because if he's answering questions or if his balloon is popped quickly, then no one knows about him, because otherwise it doesn't make sense. He's not there for a serious relationship, so I don't understand why he's there at all. He asked her, what are some ideas of what are some of your ideas of unconventional date? And you had Amira say, she would love to go on a hot air balloon date. That's something that she's done before and she'd really love to do that. Dylan said, running, boxing, people watching, and he's sort of asked her, what is your sleep schedule like? And she said, I don't have a sleep schedule, but I am very respectful of people and their sleeping patterns. I try not to make noise because I, at times get carried away either on my gadgets or stuff. So I don't always have a sleep pattern, because he was saying he goes to bed at 9:30. Lorenzo said sailing and jet skiing are things he would like to do, anything to spend time on the ocean. And she popped his balloon because she thought he was a player. She thought he was just saying what she felt she wanted to hear. So that's why she popped his balloon. Turns out he was very quiet with everybody else. So I think he really liked her. It's sad she didn't pick up on that. And then, so the two guys left to come to the front were Dylan and Hassam. And, Amira's question was, what 3 qualities are you looking for in a partner? And you had Hassim, he said someone who's patient, someone respectful, and someone who likes me back. And that's important. You can't just keep liking people and they not feel the same way about you. So I get where he's coming from. She popped his balloon because, she felt she aligned more with Dylan or the qualities that Dylan had expressed than she did with Hassim. I think at the end of the day, she saw how Hassim played the other girl and she didn't want to be played by him. So she decided to pop his balloon. Dylan, he said he wants someone with a sense of humor, someone who's spontaneous, and someone who's selfless. He doesn't want someone who's going to be disrespectful to people. And so, she then was asked, do you want to pop or do you want to lock it? And he asked one more question and he said, when I enjoy my food, I tend to lick my plate. Are you open to that idea? She said she was open to the idea of him licking his plate. So they both locked it in. I think they'll make a cute couple. I think Dylan was just saying something just for the sake of it. I don't think he licks his plate. It doesn't make sense. So the last lady of the night we have is Cosette, I think her name is. She is 35. She is from the LBC. You know, Long Beach. She's a recruiting director, and she's a mermaid entertainer as a part-time job. She's been single for 2 years, and she prioritizes health and fitness. That's what she wants in a partner. And so as soon as she said her age, you had, as per clockwork, Elliot, he popped his balloon. He said, because of her age, that's why he decided to pop her balloon. And it's like, make it make sense. Make it make sense. Why are you on the show? Why didn't you tell them that you didn't want anyone past a certain age? That way you wouldn't be wasting our time. Griffin said, he's LDG, and I won't repeat what he said because I don't want anything to be flagged up on my channel. Drew said traveling and getting away. Well, you had her pop his balloon because she said, there was no initial attraction. Dominic, he said sexual fantasy or something like that. And she popped his balloon because she didn't like his cornrows. And he said, well, he has long curly hair, so she should have given him a chance. Next was Chris. Chris said excitement. So she popped his balloon because of the height, because he was shorter than her. Hamish said, he likes to travel and he's also a great swimmer. And he said, it's the black Michael Phelps, to which Yvonne corrected him and told him that there are some very good black swimmers. Lorenzo then said role play. She popped his balloon because I think we didn't get to hear the answer, because I think it was because of the fact that, she's already heard him play games with the lady before, so she just assumed that's who he was. Andrew is a new guy. He's 24. He's from San Diego. He's a beach lifeguard, and he said, I could give you mouth to mouth if you were stuck on the beach. And she popped his balloon because I think she didn't like that joke, which then left Griffin and Hamish, and they've been at the bottom. I think they were doing this for attention. I don't think they were seriously looking for a relationship, because Hamish has already told us when April came down that, he wasn't in it for a long term or for something concrete, which lets me know that he didn't know how to let her down gently. So he decided to use that as an excuse, but I don't think she was his type. I think he was just being nice because he's the only black guy on the stage. So Griffin asked, I've dated an imitator before. She was a bit on the cuckoo side. Are you? And well, you had her say, no, I'm not. And then the question she asked was, what do you want in a relationship? And he said, well, I don't want anything. If you meet the right person, you don't need to want anything. You're willing to make the changes in order for the relationship to work. So you don't need to have a list. And she popped his balloon because she said his response, although it was good, she felt like she had a stronger bond with Hamish. And it's like, oh, Hamish is about to play with you, girl. So the next question she asked him was, what do you want in a relationship? And he sort of said, or what would you do to spice up your relationship, or something along those lines, I think. And he said, if you meet the right person, you don't need anything. The question was, what do you want from in a relationship? And he said, you don't need to want anything. If you meet the right person, you're willing to make the changes to make the relationship work, which makes sense. Sorry about that. That's a bit mixed up. Hamish, his was, are you from a big family? His question to her was, are you from a big family? And she said yes. And, he was asked, what do you want in a relationship? He said, I want someone who needs me back. And it's like, what? He's got to save your complex or something. I don't get it. Anyway, so she popped Griffin's balloon, which left Hamish. And we were all wondering, even if one said, don't play games with me because you've been down here every single time. So don't play stupid games. And so he decided to lock it. I think he was afraid that if he didn't lock, then he would get in trouble. So he did lock with her, and I hope it works for them, because I root for love. So anything for love to win, I love it. It was a great episode. I really enjoyed it. So see you. I'll try and review Friday's episode as soon as possible. Thanks, guys, for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And click the link in my video to watch my review from episode 3. Bye, guys.